Welcome to ESVN, the Emma Sports Vigeland Network show. My name is Emma Vigeland, and the NFL is back tonight. I can't even believe it. Hello to Bradley Alsop.
Bum 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 bum.
That was beautiful. I forgot. You do have a background in bands and musical theater.
We're back.
Time to break them all.
Yes, it's football.
Excited.
It is football night in America.
Yes, it is.
People.
Yes, it is. Certainly is. Mike Tirico on the mic.
Well, listen, folks.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I mean, you went hard on impressions today in the show.
I did go pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit more of your like Obama creeping in slightly.
Which is unfair because Tarico's a white man.
I forgot that.
Tarico's Italian, so it's actually not fair.
I forgot that Mike Tirico self-identifies as Italian. Yes, and is Italian.
We respect people who identify as Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Italian X.
We are from New Jersey after all. Bradley Alsop, hello. How are you feeling about the Jets? Is that LaDainian Tomlinson?
It is a LaDainian Tomlinson jersey, correct? I've owned this jersey for about 15 years.
It's good. I mean, like, at least you didn't like fade the numbers that much. I have an old Eli Manning jersey I used to wear to bed before game night, like as a superstitious thing, and it's completely faded and not really very attractive to look at anymore.
I am amazed that this has lasted this long because I've literally had it since LaDainian Tomlinson was on the Jets.
Yeah, right. Those were fun years.
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
But no, I'm feeling great. I was at the beach with my family the last few days, so I'm tan, rested, back from island time and ready for football time.
Oh, right. And that is the Labor Day transition personified. But before we get into it, I gotta give some of the housekeeping notes. Please subscribe if you want some incredible coverage of this NFL season. YouTube.com/ESVN show. Put on push notifications. Rate us 5 stars on any podcast platform that you might be listening to on this. We go live every Monday, and then in the NFL season, we do a little extra episode on Thursdays where we give our locks for the week. This is a combo episode where we will be giving our week 1 locks against the spread. Last year, I lost this competition to Bradley. I had to eat cheese on camera. It was not an attractive sight.
I guess we gotta think of something.
We gotta think of something for this year. We thought about it midway through the year, but we're also adding an additional element to the competition.
That's right.
A mini survivor game between the two of us, which for people that don't know, that is when you pick one NFL team to win in a certain week. And once you pick that team, you cannot pick that team for the rest of the year. So your options get limited. And if you lose, if that team loses that week, and we will get into that a little bit later. But a little bit of non-NFL news before we dive right in. Well, Bradley, update us on the Spanish women's soccer team because this story continues to just get more and more intense, rightfully so.
Yeah, so when we left off our last episode, I think we were still sort of in the stage where there was like coming action against Luis Rubiales, the head of RFEF, the Spanish Soccer Federation, and for his actions of forcibly kissing his Spain women's player Jenny Hermoso. And a lot of like truly insane stuff has happened since we last spoke. We sort of touched upon Rubiales doing his sort of Wolf of Wall Street impression at a press conference, saying, "I won't resign, I won't resign," to the chorus of chauvinist male supporters they lined up to be at that news conference. Jorge Vilda, the coach of the team, included. Since then, Vilda has been fired. Almost 50 Spanish players have pledged to not support the federation and withhold their play globally until Rubiales and Vilda and others are cleaned house of, or until the federation cleans house. There has been global condemnation from other women's soccer players and soccer teams. The women's coaches who were at that press conference, issued a statement basically saying that they did not support the display that Rubiales exhibited there, and that they were effectively going to resign until or unless Rubiales and Vilda were sacked. FIFA opened an investigation into Rubiales' conduct and issued a 90-day, essentially a 90-day suspension onto him, so that he can't have any involvement in soccer priorities in Spain as they conduct an investigation as to whether he can stay in his role. And to top all of those things off, some of the defenses from the Spanish men's, from the RFEF spokespeople and employees who are still loyal to Rubiales have borderlined on the absurd, to the point where they issued a statement that showed 3 still photos to try and prove that Hermoso actually did, in fact, lift Rubiales up off the ground, which, even if that's true, does not prove that
they're all hugging and lifting each other off the ground.
But that does not prove that she then, per Rubiales, said it's okay and just a little bit. And effectively, Rubiales she had said to him, maybe we could just kiss a little bit.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Yeah, I bet that's what happened, right? So those still photos were released.
She said it with her eyes.
Another statement was released after that, where basically they were like, these statements are trying, like, these people who are making these statements and going out against Rubiales are trying to kill him. Then that was deleted because FIFA's investigating them, so they can't actually talk about this anymore. And all that is to say, after all of that, and after, like I said, Vilda, the coach, has been fired, Rubiales is suspended, the Spanish women's team has now taken it upon themselves to authorize a strike and also an advocacy for fair pay going forward. So let it be said that there were some concerns that this rank, rancid, despicable, disgraceful Spanish Federation would get some shine for the talent of the women's team for winning the World Cup. All it did was show how fantastic the women's players were and how unbelievably embarrassing their federation is. And everyone sees it now. There are going to be repercussions, and hopefully this Spanish women's team will come out greater for it into the next World Cup, when these awful, awful men, these awful, awful leaders will be in the dustbin of history.
Yeah, I want them purged. Well said. Thank you for that recap. And then, also just like the striking for pay element, right? I mean, this is also like the globalization of what the women's team has been saying for a long time in the United States. And they had the cachet to do so, just given like the fact that they were essentially a dynasty. But now there are other women's teams that are going to start doing this as well. And it could not be more welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And those things are, by the way, connected. Sexual assault, sexual misconduct with people who, when they feel like they have power over somebody, especially like, if women are getting paid less money, they have less power in that situation, and they're more subjected to these kinds of abuses. And so, yeah, I mean,
and there's a reason, as we've talked about too, Emma, there's a reason that some, obviously Rubiales tried to employ this defense where Hermoso, in the heat of the celebration, at some point sort of was like, it was an exercise, there was jubilation, like it was in the heat of it was a kind of the heat of the moment type thing. That does not at all contradict the fact that she wasn't comfortable by it. That does not mean that she consented to it, and it doesn't mean that she was the one who initiated it. A statement released by RFEF that attributed the statement was attributable to Hermoso, referring to it as a mutual display of affection. In her follow-up statement, she literally said, "I did not write that statement."
Yeah, what is her incentive to say that? They would be like, "Oh, the woke mob" or something like that. I mean, give me a break.
And Rubiales had the audacity, because this man is a near unique chauvinist pig.
Yeah, right.
Literally, reportedly, reached out to Hermoso as well as the coach Vilda, basically saying, "For my daughters, please be in my video apology with me."
Oh, well, is he? So he's a father of daughters.
As a father of daughters, he was like, "Please launder my reputation after I sexually assaulted you. Thank you," and also used your name for a statement you didn't write.
Well, at least he has daughters.
Yeah,
that means he's
I hope they're really proud of him.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Now from football in Europe.
From football.
To
football
in the United States, a little bit separated here from the NFL. We're getting closer. we had to touch on this story with Deion Sanders here.
Oh, yes, of course.
I mean,
week 0, which I never understand, is in the books in college football, and as well as week 1. I never understand why week 0 is a thing.
There's a lot of weird things that college football does.
Well, especially as we've been talking about with the conference realignment, like everything is like a circus now. I literally don't know what team is in which conference. I don't know why they're playing, and I don't know where they're playing. Like,
also, why do they count sacks as negative rushing yards?
Yeah, and that's unique to college football,
that's
right?
Really dumb,
that's not a thing that happens.
Because a sack is a passing play, which stops when the sack happens
to the quarterback
to the quarterback. Yeah. Like that is the equivalent of saying like a backwards pass that ends in a 5-yard loss
is like a rushing loss.
Play. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, college football
rules aside,
dumb in so many ways, including like just the systemic issues and the way that like we'll get into this another week, but Tez Walker is being treated by the NCAA and how they've gone after players like Reggie Bush or even like Johnny Manziel, who weaseled out of it, but still like who wanted to capitalize on the millions and millions of dollars pouring in because of their play and because of their likeness. But putting all that aside for a second, let's focus on a big systemic issue in the NCAA, which is racism and the fact that many of these coaches in these top schools are a part of an old boys club. They get paid millions and millions of dollars and they don't pay their players. And most of these coaches are white men with white staffs. And it presents, I think, like a lot of problematic shadings and treatment. We talked about this a bit with Arian Foster as well, in the South with these old boy institutions. And Deion Sanders has broken that up here with this enormous victory as the head coach in Colorado over TCU, who was just in the national championship game. Like, Deion Sanders, I understand the criticism of what happened with Jackson State, right? Like, he made promises there, and then he took a big payday with Colorado. But this is an example of what, like, an actual leader of men looks like. We're going to play Jonathan Gannon in a second as a contrast, but this is Deion Sanders ahead of... we have that clip, yep. Right? Ahead of their eventual victory over TCU, riling his players up. And in his press conference afterwards, he did speak about how, like, this is like a program with a lot of black coaches. It's threatening to the established powers, which I really appreciated that he said. And, like, you think that black kids in this country who are thinking about where they want to go to school, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star recruits, aren't going to see this team and how much fun they're having? A 1-11 program turned around, going 1-0 against what they were 17th in the nation at the time, TCU, when they defeated them. I'm almost positive that was the case in terms of the rankings going into this game. We can look that up after this clip. But this is Deion Sanders. This is the kind of leader that he is.
Usually God gave me a word long before this, but he's been holding it. Because it's not about them. This is about us. This has nothing to do with the team that's opposing us. This is about us. This ain't got nothing to do with the naysayers, the unbelievers, the haters, the doubters. This is about us. When we started this journey, we told you it was going to be trying, it was going to be tough, but you endured because it's about us. That man next to you is a miracle. That man next to you is a believer. That man next to you is a go-getter. That man next to you is a dog. That man next to you is somebody who wants this thing. That man next to you is somebody who believes. That man next to you is somebody that got to have it today. We ain't got tomorrow. We got now. We ain't got next. We got now. We ain't coming no more. Since y'all know we here, give me my theme music.
There it goes. I mean, man, like, I don't even know. It's just hard not to love Deion Sanders. I don't even. He's the definition of like a football player and a leader and an NFL like figurehead. I can't think of it. I mean, it's like Tom Brady and Deion Sanders in some ways when you think of like the greats that have ascended to this level, and the fact that he's still like so involved and so passionate about the game and hasn't. He cashed in, right, by going to Colorado. We get that. I'm like sad about all the other recruits at Jackson State that he promised he'd be there for, you know. But at the same time, other coaches are not held to that standard. And he did bring a ton of kids along with him in that transfer portal. And that was the upset of the year, almost. I mean, actually, maybe Duke over Clemson. That was pretty insane, too. But pretty awesome, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting that...
and his son threw for as the quarterback,
Shedeur
bearing the
Sanders,
lead.
yeah.
Shedeur Sanders threw for over 500 yards.
Yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive in a lot of ways, not just in terms of the actual like stats for the team and the rejuvenating relevancy to a program like Colorado that has been, as I said to Emma before, like relatively moribund and like kind of like a non-factor in college football for the last like 25 years. Beyond that, I think it's just fascinating that a guy like Deion Sanders, who just like, you know, he stopped playing football. He was like, he's not even a guy who retired like when me and you were in our high school or middle school years. Like, he's a guy who retired in like the early 2000s. And I think it just goes to show how electrifying of an athlete and player he was.
I mean, he was a great baseball player too. Yeah, or not great, but like
he is a dual sport professional athlete.
Yes, right.
How electrifying he was when he was playing. Kind of how electrifying he's remained as a figure, both in polls, both positive and negative, in the sense that the man that can command this type of attention, this type of notoriety and kind of mythos around him is a really compelling sports figure, whether you like him or not.
Yeah.
And for him to come to a school that has had like nothing going for it on the football level for so long, and in the first week of him be there, upset the number 17 team in the country, and then enter the top 25. It's an amazing story.
Oh, amazing story.
And amazing stories don't just mean they're uncritically good. It's an amazing story because of also everything that he was doing before at Jackson State, all the things that he said about lifting up HBCUs and ultimately where he went, what he said to those kids in the portal, saying, "Get in the portal because I am bringing baggage and it's Louis Vuitton." There's something about Deion Sanders where he will say things that will make people love him and he'll say things that will make people hate him, and above all else, he very clearly doesn't care.
Well, I mean,
and I think that,
but that's a team guy, right? Like, in the sense that every guy in the locker room is going to love this. Are you kidding me? He backed this up. He had that speech,
absolutely
100%.
And what's more important than anything, that I think that's something that I believe it might have either been Dominique Foxworth on ESPN or Pablo Torre. I'm trying to remember who it was. They were basically saying the culture shift. If Colorado maybe isn't that successful this season beyond this game, if they come back from the moon, basically, if they come back to Earth, the culture shift might be more important than anything that they do in the win column this year. Yeah. The fact that there will be something galvanizing about this football program.
Yeah, I was looking at their schedule actually after this win, and week 4 they play USC with Caleb Williams. I mean,
so that'll be interesting.
That is a game that I've been open that I have struggled with college football. I've never gotten into it for reasons that are like not, I'm so moral, but there's the added context that I have this real, bee in my bonnet that's the size of, I don't know,
Idaho.
Oh, Idaho, yeah. Ooh.
It's an Idaho-sized bee.
I don't know. It's the size of Idaho. About like the players not getting paid. I think it's unconscionable. But they play Nebraska. They play Colorado State. They play Oregon. But then they play USC. I don't. They're gonna lose. I would imagine one of those games. But if they don't, I'm gonna be like.
You think Deion Sanders is gonna be able to bowl over the rule machine in Nebraska?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that will be funny. That'll be funny.
I hope he levels Matt Rule.
Yeah, right.
In Nebraska.
I mean, who knows? Matt Rule may be a nice guy, but man, did that not inspire any confidence in the NFL. Thank God.
Jay-Z was 27 when he started rapping, Emma. Sometimes things take some time.
He's got to let him cook, let Rule cook.
Yeah.
You know who we shouldn't let cook?
Oh, come on.
Because the jury's
let
already in?
Let him cook.
The jury's already in on this. I mean, the Cardinals social media team released this. Like, this is not hidden cam footage. This isn't a sting operation where they got this. Like, this was voluntarily put out into the universe. Jonathan Gannon's pre-practice or, whatever, something like a training camp motivational speech.
Yeah, I think this might have been in like a team meeting, like an all hands like team meeting.
Team meeting. I don't know, guys. I mean, are you feeling ready to be inspired?
I don't know if they're ready.
Because I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Just kidding. It's inscrutable, and also you may fall asleep.
Welcome back. Who drove over here? Quick, let me see your hands. Who took the bus?
What?
Did you have fire in your gut? Did you? We're here for a reason. Don't get that twisted, okay? We're here for a reason to win games. So if you didn't have that fire in your gut, you better light the fire pretty fast. Be who you are. Just understand, I'm looking for killers.
So to be clear, that was the preview for their official Arizona Cardinals YouTube show.
Yeah, all these teams have this social media content now, which, like, when you're a fan, you eat that crap up. I don't care about anyone else's, basically. But
So I have a few questions about this video. The way I'm a little some comments as to it. This is more of a comment than
questions
a question.
and comments.
The way he doesn't change his tone throughout, and the way the questions, I can't tell if they're rhetorical or
Hey,
not.
Bradley, do you have a fire in your gut?
It's borderline like sociopathic to watch, because like I don't know what he wants from these guys, and also this is not an anti-player thing that I'm saying. I'm just like really talking in terms of geography and finances and logistics. These guys live in the Phoenix metro area and make at the very least, six figures. None of them are taking Phoenix Metro to the stadium. They're driving a car.
Yeah, okay. First of all, it's all of these facilities. I don't care where you are. I mean, we live in the New York metro area. If you're a Giants player and you're like, even if you live in Manhattan, and most of them don't, they live in New Jersey and stuff, you're not, you can't even get to the facility. It's off the freaking highway in East Rutherford.
And there are like private driveways.
Well, I guess you could take the bus in theory, but yeah, it's a
and then walk to the private driveway, like, and swipe your key card.
But on the highway, they're all off. All of these facilities are near highways.
And also, I would like to imagine that the one of the members of the Arizona Cardinals social team actually didn't have anything else to work with from that meeting, because every person in the B-roll, you have a guy in a big one of the players in a big straw hat. They all
look so bored.
Every single one of them looks like.
Also,
wait, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you? Wait, sorry. Are you talking to us? Are you asking a question we're supposed to answer? Are you whispering?
Yeah, I gotta ask you though. Maybe this is something that we don't understand about the Cardinals, who, by the way, are tanking.
He won't tell us who's starting on Sunday.
It's Josh Dobbs. Hoi.
Or Clayton, or the Toonmeister.
These idiots think they're hiding stuff. The media is at practice and they see who's getting the starting reps.
It's a competitive advantage.
Yeah, sure.
It's a competitive advantage.
Sure. Maybe the players have to take the bus because the Cardinals and Michael Bidwell are charging them so much for their lunches at the facility.
Yeah,
which is apparently what they do.
They have to scrimp elsewhere because they're not going to. They probably have to charge. They probably get charged per ice bath.
Okay, but like, we're burying the lead. What does taking the bus have to do with anything or driving in, and how does that connect with? Do you have that fire in your gut?
I think Gannon has probably a football brain that should be donated to science, because he's definitely assimilated and synthesized so much coach speak that he doesn't realize that things that other coaches might have said that are profound, when he has synthesized and amalgamated all of it, it doesn't mean anything at all. Like, I'm sure he's probably heard something similar from like Andy Reid or Nick Sirianni or John Gruden.
Right.
And
These are
combined
just
all of them.
pieces.
And so, like, something like that, he's sort of like, you take the bus today? Stand at the bus stop?
Yeah.
Are you working today? Like, he's like,
Also,
I'm unsettling you. I'm in your head, guys. I'm in your fucking head.
Jesus.
And all of these guys are like, wait, I met you 5 weeks ago. I barely know you.
They put that meeting video out on social media too, and it was super awkward. That's why people said he had Kendall Roy energy in that, because he did. He was like, he's like got the kicks on. He's like, "What's up, man? What's up?" In this one, he just looks like a 12-year-old shuffling his feet, trying to give a book report. It's very bizarre. And this is probably the best that they had. That's why they put this on social media.
I'm really, really excited, but also dismayed because it's going to take up more time for me as someone who consumes a lot of NFL media. I'm going to be watching a lot of Jonathan Gannon.
You're going to watch a Flight Plan?
I'm going to watch a lot of Jonathan Gannon press conferences.
Okay, I got
because
you.
like when he loses like 13-11 to the Texans at some point. And blames it on their like long snapper or something, but like very cryptically he's like, well, when a guy snaps,
Yeah. Right.
sometimes a guy doesn't snap,
Yep.
and that's it.
Yep.
Next
Yeah.
question.
Reminder.
He's gonna be so performatively rude to reporters, and be like, you were late. I don't like when people are late.
Reminder. Also,
I'll remember
that
this. What's your name? What's your name?
This was the guy that got like a draft pick taken away from the Cardinals because he was so brazen in seeking a job from them in the middle of the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, the guy
preparing, and he was using a burner phone reportedly to communicate with the Cardinals while they were in Arizona.
The Cardinals love burner phones
because the Super Bowl was there. Oh yeah, they do love
the
Cardinals
Cardinals
big on burner phones to talk to their suspended GM.
The Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon got embroiled in a tampering scandal because they saw a guy who the Chiefs had just hung 35 points on in the Super Bowl, and they were like, you know what, we got to do something illegal to get that guy to be our head coach.
Yep.
That's
all the illegality happened before the Super Bowl.
That's our guy.
And then it was too late. Why'd they go through with it?
So you know what? That's our guy.
You know who else was on the market? Ben Johnson, the Mike Kafka. I mean, people who actually know what they're doing.
Brian Callahan in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
no reason. No need for that.
Lou Anarumo.
No reason.
Honestly, for their sakes, I hope that they actually pull themselves out of the job, because this guy's probably one and done after they go 1-16 or whatever. I pray that they get second in the draft. Oh,
that would kill me.
I would be very sad if Caleb Williams ends up at that place.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but Caleb,
he said he might stay in the draft.
I mean, I don't believe it.
BS,
I don't believe it only because it's just like in terms of like lucrative offers and things like that, it doesn't really make sense for him to stay. But I think it's probably helpful for him to be like,
good.
Hey, I'm noticing that your team sucks, and I don't want my son to play in Phoenix or wherever, But Wu-Tang Financial in the YouTube chat said Arizona Life Plus.
Oh my God! Yeah, right.
Can you build a house? These are not. Gannon goes to. These are not the clouds.
Not. Yeah.
These are not the clouds.
That's pretty amazing. All right, guys. Now we're getting into the real thick of things. Here we go. Let's just do this really quickly. I mean, you can weigh in. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to give I will ask you to give your official Super Bowl pick for like the NFC and AFC champion, and then who you think is going to win. But I'm just going to run through my little, ditty here. I wrote this down quickly because I've been thinking about it. This is my prediction, all right, for how the NFC and the AFC is going to shake out. Just doing this for fun. But I think the Eagles are winning the NFC East again, and I think they're getting the first seed in the NFC. I just don't love the energy from the Cowboys at all. I'm fading the Cowboys. I'll just say I don't have them making the playoffs, which maybe is a bold prediction because that defense is really good, but I think Dak Prescott is kind of falling apart. I think the team is angry at him because he refuses to restructure his contract. And I also have zero faith in Mike McCarthy to be a play caller. He's fine when he's kind of being a general or whatever, but even then, he's such an excuse maker for his players. So I don't have the Cowboys going to the playoffs. I have them finishing third in the NFC East. I think the Eagles are going to win the division. This is my other hot take.
That is a good one. That's an interesting one.
I have the Seahawks winning the division. I am so high on the Seahawks this year.
Oh no, I like
they're
the
making
Seahawks.
they're making the playoffs. I think people are going to be like, wow, Geno Smith has high end talent this year, and their defense is improving. That second year with Cross, that offensive tackle, they had two rookie offensive tackles last year.
I mentioned this when we talked about them in the division. Is that you have Geno coming off his best season yet, and ideally, even if he regresses a little bit, I don't think it's a complete flash in the pan. And also, the reason I also don't think that is I actually think his offensive line talent will only be improving because Charles Cross and Abe Lucas will be in their second year. And I really like their pass catcher, who he has for pass catchers, especially this year with the inclusion of Jackson Smith and Jigba once he's obviously fully healthy.
And
but DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, the tight ends that they have, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. I think I'm very, very bullish on the makeup of this offense and what Shane Waldron can do with them. And if the pass rush can even improve marginally, I'm also very bullish now with how much depth and how much youth they have in the secondary with.
I'm obsessed with Witherspoon. And also, I just wanted to add that JSN's injury does not seem that
right. So hopefully
serious.
It won't be a huge issue.
Yeah.
But then with Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant in their second year, as you said, Devin Witherspoon, who I'm also extremely high, and also I just think will add an incredible element of just ferocity and spirit and culture to that defense, as well as Draymond Jones for some pass rush assistance, which they didn't have. Obviously I think certain guys like Boye Mafe have to take a leap for them to actually get some production. But if that's the only real blind spot, I agree. I still think they could really compete, and also it hasn't worked yet to bet against Pete Carroll.
Yeah, but
it just hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the stuff we're seeing is Russ, or what that were limitations in the offense. It seems
right.
We shall see. I have them. It's going to be them or the 49ers. I think that's pretty clear. I have the 49ers as the 5 seed because they just have too much talent. But I'm concerned a little bit about how they are aging slightly. And I don't believe in Brock Purdy. I don't know why everyone is so high on Brock Purdy. It seems like it's an analytics-focused thing, but it's the Kyle Shanahan offense. Eventually Darnold is going to get in there. I'm positive about that. And I think Darnold is probably more talented than Brock Purdy. And it's just another same old thing with them. But I do have a positive for 49ers fans later in my prediction. So right now I have the Eagles as the 1 seed, Seahawks as the 2. I said I was going to do it. Packers winning the division, most complete team in the NFC North. That defense is underrated. Jordan Love, they're going to manage him. They're going to run the ball. They have receivers. I'm a little worried about Dobbs and Christian Watson being a little bit injured, but I think that Lions defense is garbage. I don't have the Lions making the playoffs for that reason. I'm sorry to say to some of our fans, but because I know we have some Lions fans in the audience.
I think just notably too, Rashawn Gary was not fully healthy all of last season, and when he was one of the most effective pass rushers in the whole league. So, and same thing with Eric Stokes, one of their cornerbacks. I think the Packers were also struggling with some health issues on their defense. I don't think it really had anything to do with their defense not being good. Yeah. And Jordan Love, at the very least, we obviously haven't seen him play a lot, but he's been in the offensive system for 4 years. He's probably the most tenured guy of their entire offense, maybe outside of obviously David Bakhtiari and some of their linemen. Yeah. So it's a young team, but I think Matt LaFleur is a great offensive mind. I also think that potentially they will be unshackled by the Rodgers saga that was mutually not beneficial for all of them.
And it's not to say that Rodgers or that Love is a better quarterback than Rodgers, but it is to say that these players are human beings, and that was a distraction that must have been incredibly difficult to live through.
Yeah, 100%.
For the rest of the guys on that roster. So I have the Packers winning the division, and look, I'm taking some swings here. And I was between the Saints and the Falcons to win the division, but I was watching some Kamara, and I was watching some Derek Carr last night just because I drafted Kamara in my league, and they're a little bit more balanced than I gave them credit for. And the Saints just have veteran leadership. Now, the Saints, or whoever wins the NFC South, is not going anywhere. But I have them as the 4 seed. So I have Eagles, Seahawks, Packers, Saints, 49ers. I got my Giants in the 6 seed. Now, let me just say, though, quickly, to defend the Giants.
No, I'm with you.
The Cowboys are more talented than the Giants, 100%. But, like, I genuinely believe that Dayball is really special. And
also, I trust those 2 guys over fucking Mike McCarthy doing everything.
Would you rather take Daniel Jones and Dayball and Kafka over Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, and who's that guy that running game?
Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer.
Yeah, it's 2007.
Yeah.
Like I'm like a 11-year-old in my basement watching watching the Seahawks or watching
Well, it's like watching the freaking Packers, but you don't have Aaron Rodgers, who saved Mike McCarthy's job for all that time. So I'm
and just to say too, I'm a little more bullish on the Cowboys until I see the McCarthy offense, just because I think the defense is really good. But I agree with you in the sense that I think some people are a little, and I don't necessarily fault them just because of what the Giants were doing last year, which was making really a lot out of making a lot more out of the sum of their parts than they had. But to me, if anything, that makes me feel better now that the personnel is marginally and at some places significantly better. Like I feel more comfortable projecting the Giants because that coaching staff got what they got out of a team that was not rich with talent, and especially on the defensive end was pretty threadbare. The guys that they were starting at some of those positions at linebacker, at safety, or at corner, it was one of the thinnest depth charts in the league, and they won a playoff game.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and again, it was against the worst defense in the league. Arguably, it was them or the Lions. But like, I also don't have the Vikings going back to the playoffs. I vacillated between the Falcons and the Lions as the 7 seed, but I put the Falcons just basically because I think the entire NFC South has a much easier road and schedule than the rest of particularly the NFC East has a really difficult one that also played into my Cowboys missing the playoffs thing. And they just sometimes they collapse. Like the year that they took Ezekiel Elliott 4th overall or whatever, right? They just collapse that year. And sometimes that happens because Jerry, is nuts and the team is constructed based on stars. And sometimes they can fall apart like a house of cards.
And I also just think the problem is like Tony Romo aside, basically. The last time that the Cowboys were consistently relevant, consistently contenders, consistently competing to be in the Super Bowl was when like Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and Troy Aikman were on the team. Yeah. It's been 25 years. Yeah. So like
since they've been to an NFC Championship game.
I think a dose of skepticism, in spite of my probably greater faith in you in them this year, is because I need to actually see them actually do something.
Yeah.
The last 2 seasons in a row, they have ended their playoff run in like the most uniquely embarrassing fashions possible.
Yes.
Like, so that needs to stop.
Yeah,
and so
but Mike McCarthy's not capable.
But that's my concern. That's my concern.
Detailed. He is not capable.
That's my concern. Is like I don't want to dog the Cowboys too much from my end, only because I'm like, you know what? I think Dak is good. And I think if the offensive line can stay healthy, is good. I like what they've done with their pass catchers much more than they had last year, and I think the defense is going to be great. But it literally is like, show me you can do it. Mm-hmm. Like I need them to show me.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that, and I'm kind of taking a swing there. But I it's just on gut and feel and all that kind of stuff. Then for the wild card, got the Seahawks beating the Falcons pretty easily at home. Giants beating the Packers in Lambeau. They have a good record of doing that. With Brett Favre and with Aaron Rodgers, both they had to go through both of them in order to win the Super Bowls that I witnessed while I was alive. And the 49ers beating the Saints. And then we're in the divisional round. I have the Eagles beating the Giants. I mean, again. And the 49ers beating...
Hopefully a closer game.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it will be, but the Eagles are just still really talented. Although, people are underestimating that they lost both their offensive and defensive coordinators. Not that Gannon has anything to write home about. I'm not that worried about the defense, but I think...
because honestly, I think Sean Desai might almost be like I think there's a chance he's a better defensive coordinator. We just don't know a lot about Brian Johnson, the guy replacing Shane Steichen.
Shane Steichen is secretly like a very talented offensive mind.
And he's been talented wherever he went, like literally all across his teams.
Exactly. He was great with Justin Herbert
Yep.
and as a quarterbacks coach.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And
Yep.
then as offensive coordinator, apparently, like
helping Jalen Hurts grow.
I had forgotten about this, but yeah, he helped Jalen Hurts grow, and then also that basically Sirianni just outsourced the play calling to him pretty early on, and there were some struggles when it was more of a hybrid or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, and so it just remains to be seen. But they're the most talented team in the NFC. I don't think that's in dispute, even with their losses on defense.
And my concerns are literally mostly on the defensive side of the ball, if anything. The offense is essentially intact.
But then they
lost Miles Sanders.
But they drafted the best player in the draft too, in Jalen Carter.
Right.
So it's just
they lost.
they're an all-star team.
They lost Miles Sanders and they lost Isaac Seumalo. Like they basically lost nobody.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Seumalo is good, but like they also drafted that guy Landon Dickerson.
Oh, Landon Dickerson, yep.
In the second round.
And then they also have Cam Jurgens, the guy who was going to hopefully replace Jason Kelsey. But
well, it might be Dickerson too, but either way, they have so much depth that they can plug in at guard positions.
I also just like trust Jeff Stoutland to like.
Yeah.
He could stand up like a potted plant in the offensive line. Like that's just how he's just an amazing coach.
Yeah, they're great over there with offensive linemen.
So I'm with you. I'm with you on it.
So I have the Eagles heading to the NFC Championship game again, and then I have the 49ers beating the Seahawks in Seattle.
Interesting.
Repeat Niner, because I think by that time they have their quarterback situation figured out.
Yeah, that's the hope, right?
The Niners kind of start slow, which maybe has something to do with my next pick for picks against the spread, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
And like Hargrave, like now they have Javon Hargrave. Like like that. Well,
that's why I have the 49ers
line,
beating the Eagles and going to the Super Bowl.
Interesting. But that front seven for the the Niners is still even with some attrition is going to be pretty nasty, I think.
Yeah. And again, these are just guesses. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
And same thing with those guys. It's like they're having to accommodate a little bit because, for example, Jimmy Ward's in Houston now. So like Diamador Lenore, who actually got a lot of run in the playoffs, is going to have to play more of a defined role.
Yeah.
Javon Hargrave's here, but then they're also going to have a few like sub-package kind of reserve rushers. And they signed the guys like Cleveland Farrell, who obviously for the most part of his career has kind of been a bust of a draft pick because the Raiders took him like maybe, I don't know, 40 picks too early.
Yeah.
With all due respect to Cleveland Farrell. But if anybody can rehab a guy's career, it's Chris Kasurik. Chris Kasurik, I would say, the defensive line coach for the Niners, is like the Jeff Stoutland, like he's the defensive component.
Yeah.
If you put that guy in the Chris Kasurik camp, he'll do fine. So I'm even some of these replacement guys, I'm not that worried. And also Steve Wilkes is a good defensive coach. I know he's out of the Shanahan system, but I'm not super worried about him being able to coach up guys.
I think they're going to start slow, the 49ers is all I'm saying, and I think they're going to.
And I hear you. I think that's fair.
It goes along. Once they abandon the Brock Purdy experiment, they go with Sam Darnold. That's my bold prediction. I think Darnold's going to look really good in this offense. He has talent. He's not a superstar. I didn't even like him that much coming out of college. I thought he was so overhyped. I was very big on Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Turned out okay for me. Have I referenced that before on the show? Anyway, but everyone was saying Darnold was the best thing since sliced bread, but I do think he has talent, and he's a really good fit for this offense.
And as you're saying too, though, like he might not be like off the page in terms of like processing and like creativity, but like give him a training wheels offense, and I think the arm talent will show.
Yes,
he throws nasty balls when he has like really no interference, and I think he will have very little interference. He was playing for the freaking Panthers last year.
He's great
the Panthers
at those
were not very good in the first half of the season.
Intermediate throws, which is perfect for the Shanahan
exactly
offense.
Inbreakers, outbreakers, go to Brandon Ayuk, go to George Kittle. He'll have such more if they start him or if he gets some playing time. He will have many more reliable targets than he had in Carolina, or even when he was playing for the Jets, for that matter.
Yeah. So that's my hot take. I mean, who knows? Now AFC. I got the Chiefs with the #1 seed. I know there's a lot of concern. I hope they get this Chris Jones thing done. Damn. I mean, he's not playing tonight. He's gonna hold out. He's a smart businessman. And he knows what he's doing here because like he's not getting a second contract after this. I mean, this is for a guy like him that plays such a physical brand of football, he's got to cash in now. And so I'm glad he's using his leverage.
Also, not for nothing, I mean, I understand that they might have a bunch of bills coming due at some point, but like they've borrowed against Mahomes' contract a lot. He has a 10-year deal that's spread out a lot. I'm just thinking like, keep that window open. There is nobody more disruptive or more valuable as an individual on a defense. I'm not saying entitled. I'm just
to the Super Bowl.
That's my thing though. I'm just saying like
he rattled Burrow, and they've been unable to do that. Burrow was what, like 3-0 against them to that point. Yeah, I mean they need him to make plays on defense because it can't just be Mahomes.
My thinking exactly is that when you and to your point, like when you're thinking of guys who are individual like game breakers and like real X factors, real like needle movers. Like Chris, and on defense, like Chris Jones really comes to mind to me of maybe the top 5 guys on defense in the league. To me, it's like Jones, Aaron Donald, even now, but a little less so. Obviously, he's getting a little older. Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, potentially end of list. Like,
or I mean, his brother Joey.
Yeah, or Joey. Like, I mean,
TJ Watt.
Even to potentially TJ Watt. But I mean, I maybe top 3 for me. I'm putting Chris Jones in there. And so for me, if I'm Clark Hunt, if I'm Brett Veach, I'm like, let's pay this guy.
I know,
like,
but
let's get him to be a chief for the rest of his life.
Their organizational philosophy is to spend on offense, and then they like load up on defense in the draft. But at some point, you guys have to like pay the guys that are delivering 2 rings for you.
Right, and also I will say, it's not that I'm even that low on the defensive line here in the sense of like I think
Karlaftis looks good.
I like Karlaftis. I think he'll be better in his second year. I like the guy they drafted in the end of the first round, Felix Anudike Uzama. Like I like him. But these are young guys. These are not necessarily proven guys. Like I think you need Chris Jones in the middle there to be the game breaker, the wrecker.
And the way that the game is right now, having a guy that can go quickly up through the middle of the offensive line as a defensive tackle like that and be that kind of athlete, you're seeing that these guys like Dexter Lawrence, Jeffrey Simmons, Daron Payne, they're all getting paid because right now. And
Chris Jones is noticing that, right? Like he's like, wait, like I'm as good as those guys.
Yeah,
Quinnen Williams,
he's probably better than Aaron Donald right now at this point in his career.
Yeah,
and so of course Quinnen Williams, he should get paid more than Quinnen Williams.
I agree. That's my thinking though. Is like the Jets found an agreement with Quinnen Williams. Titans found an agreement with Jeffrey Simmons. Giants found an agreement with Dexter Lawrence. Yeah. Like there's an avenue for teams that are like, oh wow, our amazing interior defensive lineman deserves this money.
There's money in the banana stand, as they say.
And for the Chiefs, like they're printing money.
It's in their window. I mean, Kelsey and Mahomes are underpaid by like a very significant
Kelsey
margin.
Might be arguably one of the most underplayed players in the entire league for like what he does for his team.
Mahomes is currently like the 8th most highly paid quarterback
which is
in the NFL on an annual basis.
But it goes to show you, like that to me is
so
more.
Pay Chris Jones.
That's the thing, exactly. That to me is like. I understand with the Tyreek Hill situation, you turn things over so you're not so cash strapped and you can trust that Mahomes can lift up the sales. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Chris Jones is a vital piece to the Chiefs' recipe for success.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Anyway, still Chiefs probably first seed regardless. Like, I mean,
no, you're gonna have
doesn't
to.
matter. You'll have the greatest player I've ever seen, arguably. So
that's the thing. Like, you're gonna have to show me that the Chiefs will have to show me that they're not the number 1 seed. Like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Ravens winning the division.
Interesting.
2nd seed. I love those damn Ravens. Okay. Jags winning the division. That's pretty easy. Jets winning the division, Bradley. Jets. 4th seed. All right, don't comment on it.
Interesting.
Bengals. 5th seed. I think that AFC North battle is going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight.
Yeah, because I think, like, basically they're all good in some capacity.
Oh, they all are.
Which
is why I have the Steelers as the 6th seed. Yep. I'm a believer in the Steelers this year.
I'm high in the Steelers, too. I really am.
And God, I tried really hard, and I couldn't decide if it was Dolphins or Chargers as the 7th seed. Dolphins or Chargers. I went with the Dolphins because I just think they have more talent. But I wouldn't be surprised if like Tua gets hurt and they've got nothing.
I think that's like obviously the real swinging door, like or sliding door for them is like because I think if Tua stays healthy, this offense is still going to be crazy. Like I really still think the offense I know,
and I'm regretting it because the Chargers offense is going to be crazy, but I just don't like Brandon Staley. And
I mean, that's my concern, is that I think he's almost like a knuckleball pitcher to
Yeah.
me, in the sense of like in specific in-game matchups, he's like a defensive mastermind.
point, yeah.
But in other ways, I'm like, you don't have like, he sometimes lacks creativity or lacks another dimension. I'm hoping Kellen Moore can diversify
well, he's
that.
the next head coach of that team. That's
Right,
why I
yeah,
think they're
right.
gonna. Yeah.
And so we'll see what kind of step they're able to take with the offense. But I see what you're saying. It's also, I will say, it's hard, as you know, as someone who literally picked the Chargers to win the freaking AFC last year, at this very time of year. It's really hard for me to believe in them when I believed so many times, and I have not been rewarded for my belief.
Exactly. So I need to see it to believe it, and I just feel like the Dolphins.
And the defense especially. I need the defense to show me something.
But speaking of
Like,
defense, what puts me over the edge is like Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator for the damn
right,
Dolphins.
he came out of retirement, basically, or came out of like consultancy to be Mike McDaniel's defensive coordinator.
And he's
like,
amazing, and the Dolphins have a ton of talent all over the field.
I
The big
think-
question is quarterback and O-line.
I'm actually like surprisingly not that even I think it's that big of a statement, but I think the Dolphins have a real chance to be a really good defense.
Yeah.
With Fangio aside, I'm just thinking of like Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips probably taking a leap this year, Zach Sealer, who I really like, Emmanuel Ogba, who is still on that line.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Ramsey potentially out till December, they still have Xavier Howard. Like I think they still have a lot of like blue chip talent on that team that Fangio can deploy in, and he's like, I mean, he's the godfather of defense. Like
Yeah.
if I'm going to trust anyone to maximize these guys, it's fucking Vic Fangio.
I mean,
Like,
they have Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, and
and I forgot. I literally forgot about
and
Bradley
Jalen
Chubb.
Phillips is like a superstar in the making right now.
Oh, I think he's going to be a stud.
Oh, totally. He's already almost there, and this could be the number one defense in the NFL. I just have questions about the quarterback. I
Exactly,
really
I
do,
agree.
and his ability to stay healthy,
And the offensive line,
and
I will
his
say.
skills,
And the offensive line, I will say.
offensive
because Armstead is not a sure thing, and some of these younger guys like Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson, they really have to like
Step
take
up.
a leap.
Yeah. So that's, and I'm bearing the lead. No Bills, no Chargers. Like that AFC East is a meat grinder this year. I mean, the AFC East plays the NFC East, which had 3 playoff teams on it, and they play. I think they play the AFC West. No. They play, or I need to now look this up because they play. Yeah, they do. I think. No. Gosh, this is so. Yes, they do. They do. That's the best division in the AFC with the Chargers and the Chiefs, and
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is the Bills' schedule here. Bills, Jets, Bills, Raiders, Bills, Commanders. Okay, that's easy. Dolphins, Jaguars, Giants, Patriots, Bucks, Bengals. Yeah, it's not as bad as the Jets.
But I will say the Jets.
But I just don't like their talent
But
right
the Jets
now,
and the
besides Josh Allen.
But the Jets and the Commanders' defenses are not particularly easy. I'd say the Jets I think have a chance to be a really, really great defense, and the Commanders have a pretty formidable front seven. And,
well, I'm excited about that offense, by the way.
yeah, and I think there's
Sam
a
Howell's looked good.
I think there is a chance for them to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I agree. We say that I feel like every year, and then they fall apart, and that is Ron Rivera's fault.
That's just our thing.
Which is why he maybe shouldn't criticize Eric
like,
Bieniemy for coaching his players hard and throwing him under the bus. Hope he takes your job.
I'm like, interesting. Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, decent offensive line. Howell might be an interesting, flyer with the 5th rounder, and even Brissett could be a good game manager. Great front seven on the defense, and then they go like 6 and 12, 6 and 11, and I'm like, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Fish rots from the head down. AFC wildcard, I have the Ravens as the 2 seed beating the Dolphins. Remember that game when like the Dolphins were supposedly tanking and Lamar went out and put up like 48 points? That was maybe his MVP season.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget that because I think I had Lamar in fantasy or something in some league.
Was that Lamar's MVP year?
I think it was his MVP year. God, I love Lamar.
Yeah. Can't wait to see that guy back.
Jags beat the Steelers. I think the Jags are going to be pretty good.
I'm
Yeah.
If I were advising people, and I'm not.
This is the wild card, by the way. Let me just finish my last one. Go ahead. Bengals beat the Jets. Sorry.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think you know somebody.
Mm-hmm. And so then We have 4 teams left. The Chiefs, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Jaguars. We'll say the Ravens. I say the Ravens beat the Jaguars, so they head to the AFC Championship game. And I have the Bengals beating the Chiefs. I just have some energy. Like, look.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
They still have not paid Burrow yet. I hope they don't pay him until the end of the year. And he's like, I want a piece of the salary cap.
If essentially, in the sense of that he basically could bet on himself and like.
This is just like my.
Oh yeah, it's like
psychotic like vision of how.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think
AFC Championship, Bengals beat the Ravens. Bengals win the Super Bowl. 49ers 21-20.
Wow! I love it. I absolutely love it.
Both are 5 seeds. It's dumb, but like I wanted to get a little more creative.
Oh,
with
for
it.
sure.
I mean, it's always like pick the Chiefs, pick the Chiefs, pick the Chiefs. It's probably gonna be the Chiefs.
No,
But it could be fun.
It could be fun.
And I just believe in Burrow. I really do.
I agree. I also will say.
But I do believe in the Ravens. Like, I think the Ravens could win the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens, I think the Chiefs, I think the Bengals could win the Super Bowl. Like,
the AFC is
where the Jaguars win the Super Bowl.
The AFC is a bloodbath.
Oh,
like
it's a
bloodbath. It is like one of the most like stacked times in the league I've ever seen. Like, stacked conferences and like I've been watching football for a long time. Like I don't remember this much like crazy talent on so many teams.
Yeah.
And just one note, but on both one note on the Jaguars and then one note on the Bengals is that I was saying if I were a betting man, and I'm not.
Never.
I think
Can't wait for our lock segment.
I think those Trevor Lawrence MVP odds are not so bad. I think if he stays healthy, and and the additions of Calvin Ridley, and another year in the Doug Peterson offense, I think he could be really good. He showed a lot in the second half of the season. He showed some unbelievable progress.
Yeah,
and
I didn't want to say this before. Okay, sorry, go on. I'm cutting.
That's my Jags thought. But what were you thinking?
Well, another bet I want people to maybe consider if they were to gamble, which you should definitely not. We do not endorse it.
No.
I am gonna look right now at Zay Flowers' Rookie of the Year.
Oh, interesting. That is an interesting one.
I'm gonna look right now.
Because I just think, as we've talked about with him, I just think he's like.
I don't think any of the quarterbacks are getting it. Right?
No, unless the Texans go unless the Texans and the Panthers win 10 games.
I really like Richardson and Stroud, but I just don't think that.
No, I would say probably Smith and Jigba, Zay Flowers potentially, maybe either Dalton Kincaid or Quentin Johnson. I think it would be one of those guys, like a tight end or a wide receiver. That's my thought.
Yeah. I don't. Offensive rookie. I don't know. This is really not helpful, but I should just look back at my past bets because I did place a bet on this. It was plus 1,800 when I placed.
Oh, nice. I like that.
So I put $15 down to win 285.
I like him as a player, and I like the fit in the offense. So if everything goes well, I totally see it. Then my other thing I just wanted to say about the Bengals is honestly, with a healthy Burrow, which I know he's still recovering from the calf, I understand. Orlando Brown now on the offensive line. Jonah Jackson's still there. The maybe the best wide receiving core in the league with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. I know Irv Smith is now kind of operating the sort of nebulous Bengals tight end, but everyone that's. I
mean, Hayden Hurst plugged in and
right, and he was great. He was exactly no one batted an eyelash. He replaced C.J. Uzomah, and that was
free
it.
Agency,
that defense, which I'm still really high on because of Anarumo's coaching and who they still have, and who I think these guys, some of the guys who are replacing some of the talent, like replacing Jesse Bates, replacing Von Bell, Dax Hill, and a few other guys, Cam Taylor-Britt, I think they'll take another step. Nick Scott is coming in, one of the few guys outside of the Bengals hive mind who I think will learn on the job. He's a smart player. That's really what you need to be a Bengals defensive player. You need to be smart. You don't have to be that athletic. If you can process, you're good. So I think this might be the best team they've had, honestly.
I mean,
and so I see what you're saying because I don't think this team is.
They're getting
regressed.
slept on.
I don't think this team has gotten worse. I think this team has gotten better.
I don't understand why they're getting slept on. They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They were in the AFC Championship last year, and I'm just not hearing any preseason Bengals buzz, and I think they're going to take that personally.
And also, they were a late hit away from maybe winning the game.
Oh, sigh.
Yeah, and listen, the thing is, as much as I felt terrible for him, he's very young, and he's a really good player.
Yes.
I think that will fuel him. You know who has fire? You know who has fire in his gut? Joseph Osai.
Joseph Osai took the bus to practice.
He took the bus he's going to take the bus to game 1. And then he's going to walk in, and he's just going to have a great season. I know it.
Antonin Skligo says Lamar apparently asked the Ravens to draft him specifically. I mean, I've heard some analysts call his skill set like Antonio Brown-esque, Tyreek Hill-ish, not as fast, but like maybe Tyreek Hill now in short areas and twitchiness and things like that. I'm very high on Zay Flowers. Very, very, very high. Higher than on Quentin Johnson, higher than on Jackson Smith and Jigba, so... Anyway.
Yeah, obviously, I think Tyreek Hill comp sort of like can potentially almost like taint a guy. It's the same thing with people when people are like, "Oh, Dalton Kincaid's kind of like Travis Kelce." I'm like, let's let him play a snap in the NFL first. But I really like him. I also like I think there are certain guys like Jahan Dotson for Washington where like if you have talent, the size doesn't really matter. And like I think Flowers has it. Like Flowers is a good receiver out. Like he's not just like, oh, he's a slot guy because he's small. Like he's really talented.
But that's a modern day NFL receiver these days. Sometimes there's like this big ball of muscle energy. You don't necessarily need to be like look like T. Higgins out there.
Exactly. Right. 100%. 100%.
All right. Shall we do our locks?
Yes.
Yes. Do we have the?
Should I give my Super Bowl? Do you need my Super Bowl from me?
Give your Super Bowl. We have that graphic ready, right? Remember our lock segment?
Oh yes, of course I have it.
Good.
That hasn't gone anywhere.
Okay,
thank you for our dear friend Dan.
Thank you, Dan, from the internet. Yes.
So I'll get to that in one more. I'll just give it really quickly because I think we covered a lot of ground.
Go for it.
I'm not really splitting the atom here. I'm doing it again.
Chiefs,
Eagles win.
The Eagles aren't winning.
31-28 Eagles.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. They might, but I don't want to think about it.
I think.
You're running it back?
I'm running it back.
I don't think that. When's the last time that's happened?
I don't like. I'm like not fully certain that there are actually two teams that can beat the Chiefs and the Eagles yet.
I hear you.
And I think Jalen Hurts, if anything could happen, I guess I'm betting on a few things to happen, which is that incrementally Jalen Hurts has gotten better every year. He still has one of the best running games in the league, both with him and the stable of backs they have. If Rashad Penny can stay healthy, it's even more dynamic than it was before. I don't expect a huge drop off from the offensive line, and I'm also banking on the three main pass catchers, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, staying healthy, which is a big if, but I'm banking on it. I'm also banking on the Georgia East guys, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith. I'm betting on them hitting.
Yeah.
I'm betting on them being impact players because Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis haven't really been, and I'm betting on it. Yeah, so that's it. I think Jalen Hurts' lock screen is probably him looking at the confetti, and that's going to change next year.
I mean, he does have that dog in him.
And I think I'm betting on the dog.
I hear you on that. All right.
Let's do it.
ESVN.
Stone cold lock of the century. All week.
I missed that.
Wow.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen that.
Oh yeah,
it's been a long year since we've seen that.
All right, let's pull up that the other slide that I got. Yeah, woo! I made a little. Yeah, we need that slide whistle thing. All right, guys, locks of the week. This is what I have going for you. I'll just start. Oh, yes, you have it. I thought I'd have to reach over there to the soundboard, but you've got it on the computer. All right, amazing. Okay. 2023 season, let's go. Fresh new slate. Woo! I don't need to worry about cheese this year. We're going to do something different and humiliating.
Maybe not edible. Maybe something else.
Maybe something else, but here we go. This is my first lock of the week. I am going with the Pittsburgh Steelers +2 at home. Mike Tomlin is 13-4-3 against the spread as a home underdog, and I'm betting on him getting his guys all riled up to say, hey, they don't respect us. We're underdogs at home, and we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. And hey, we looked pretty damn good in the NFL preseason. Kenny Pickett slinging it. He's got George Pickens. He's got Deontay Johnson. He's got Najee Harris, who looks like he's a little bit leaner and his foot is all healed up, and he can just charge into that end zone. And then Jalen Warren, if you want a little bit of a change of pace back. And then on the defensive side, you got T.J. Watt. You got Minka Fitzpatrick. You've got the best, coach on head coach to coach up a defense.
Alex Highsmith
In the entire NFL, and Mike Tomlin. Like, Bosa's just coming back. He's not going to be playing the same amount of snaps that he would have been playing, right? Because he's just off the street.
Right, because he didn't even, he's just reporting now, right?
He just signed.
Just after the
Exactly.
contract agreement, right?
They can't play him at his current level. He'll get injured, and he's been injured in the past.
Oh yeah.
Trey Lance drama having the team distracted. The 49ers start slow. They've been starting slow over these past few years. Once the offense gets fully kind of formed, Shanahan starts feeling himself. But I'm just anticipating that the Steelers come out swinging and they cover that spread, which is very slim here. So I'm kind of picking the Steelers to win. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel as confident about it on paper, but it's just like a gut feel and my belief in the Steelers as arguably the most competent organization in the history of the NFL.
I'm with it. I think it's an interesting selection. It's one I thought about, honestly.
All right. How about you, Bradley?
All right, so I took my first pick. You know what? We're getting started early,
Thursday
folks.
Night Football.
In a few hours, we'll see if this one hits for me. I'm taking the Lions plus 4.5 against the Chiefs. I'm not necessarily saying that the Lions win. I'm just saying that they cover. This is very matchup specific because it's not. I wouldn't very often bet against the Chiefs. It's more that I just am a little bit skeptical seeing what the prognosis is for Travis Kelce because we don't know.
No chance he's playing.
Yeah,
I think there's no way.
So if he's not playing, that obviously is a little bit of a neutralizer for the offense. I'm not saying it's going to do everything. I don't think they're going to be anemic. I just think obviously so much runs through Kelce. So there's that. And then with Chris Jones not playing, I just think the pass rush is going to have a harder time getting home because also. As I think we'll see, the Lions have one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, Riley Reif. I think Riley Reif's still playing.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, and Jonah, the other Jonah is on.
No, he's on the Patriots. What the hell?
The other Jonah Jackson, I believe, is on the Lions, who was also a great player. Yep.
Yeah.
So. If the pass rush is a little less, ferocious with Chris Jones out, and there's a little bit less of the firepower with the offense, I think the Lions have a chance to cover. I don't necessarily think that this means that they win because Mahomes is Mahomes, and
I can see them covering.
Oh wow, maybe Rashee Rice will have 2 touchdowns. Okay, or something like that, or like Jody Fortson, or
I could see Sky Moore coming on this year.
Oh, for sure. I think there's a lot. I think we might see a lot of just like interesting things. Just be like, what have they been noodling on in the off season? What kind of interesting, weird stuff have they been devising? But I just think the Lions will cover because I'm still bullish on the offense with Ben Johnson at the helm, even though I don't think the personnel is like that revolutionary relative to the coverage of the Lions offense in terms of like what they've done to it. And I'm not that high on the defense. I just think there's enough there with the coaching and with the personnel to make it competitive. So I'm saying they'll stay.
I hear you. I think the Chiefs are winning, but I could see them covering the Lions. That line has moved from 6.5 to plus 4.5 ever since
the news
to 4.5 ever since the news about Kelce and about Chris Jones definitely not like being there. So
I'm going to eat this probably because I literally said before don't bet against the Chiefs, but
Well, I would never bet on the Lions to win this game.
Let's get spicy.
But I'm excited. Go Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait.
All right, this is my other pick. It's a little riskier too because this is another slow starting team, but I think I've been clear that I believe in the Bengals. -2.5 Bengals at Cleveland. I am buying the reports that the passing game from Deshaun Watson has not looked good in practice. Watson looked terrible last year. I mean, he was rusty, but I need to see it to believe it, that they're able to actually run an offense in that way. And, people didn't necessarily love the passing game that Kevin Stefanski came up with, even when, he was coaching Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he's
He
like a
was
run
always
game
better at the
savant
run.
a little bit with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt last year. Yeah,
But I think that like the if you are too one dimensional, Lou Anarumo is going to exploit that.
Right.
And oddly, I know that Burrow has had a hard time in Cleveland at certain points in his career, at least compared to the rest of the success that he has had. Burrow hasn't practiced. I think that's why that line is so like just under a field goal. But I'm capitalizing on that because Burrow's a total psycho, and I think he's going to go in there with determination. I vacillated between this game. This is probably the one I feel I was the most back and forth on. I also was considering doing Atlanta -3.5 at home because I think Bryce Young is going to crap the bed in Atlanta. But I know you're betting against that. But like the half point bothered me a little bit at 3.5. I would have done it if the lines were reversed here. If the Bengals were -2.5. I mean, if the Falcons were. But yeah. So I'm going with the Bengals -2.5, basically just because I believe in their team much more than I do the Browns, who have a ton of questions.
and I'm with you because I'm with you even in spite of my further belief in the Browns as well because, as much as I'm like, another amazing offensive line, obviously Wyatt Teller, Joel Bitonio, Jedrick Wills, a great offensive line, great run game. Excited about the pass catchers, Amari Cooper, Cedric Tillman, excited about the defense even, Obo Okonkwo, a few of the guys that they got. I'm excited. Like great on paper. Is Deshaun Watson good? I have no idea. That's literally like until that question is answered for you, I am not taking the Browns yet.
Exactly.
And especially against the Bengals, where I'm like, I know everyone's good.
Is he broken? Like, is his brain broken from everything he experienced?
Right.
Not to sympathize with him,
Just
but
more and also because
he looks and sounds different. I mean, he sounds like angry and bitter, and it's like, does he even love football anymore?
It's
Did
also
he just
a
take the
long
money?
It's a long time
Yeah.
away from football. He hasn't played consistently, I would say, consistently at a high level since 2019 in Houston, arguably. Like that's a long time.
Oh yeah.
Like so I think there's a lot of that's the multi-million-dollar question in Cleveland. So we'll see. So for me, my second one, this is my wild card. This is my heater because speaking of questions, I'm betting a lot here. Again, not necessarily sure if the Panthers win this one, but I'm just thinking they'll cover because I like a lot of what I'm so intrigued. I'm so fascinated. I'm so excited to watch the Falcons offense. It's literally the positionless revolution in the NBA come to the NFL. We're gonna see like a move tight end at wide receiver, a wide receiver at running back, and a 6'5" guy in the slot. So I'm excited for all that. Great offensive line in Atlanta as well. Love Drew Dalman. Love Chris Lindstrom. Love Caleb McGarry. But I'm not sold on the defense yet. AJ Terrell took a step back last year. I still think he's going to be good, but I'm not certain yet of that. They added Shy Tuttle. I'm pretty sure added. They have I forgot that guy's name. Kalen something on the Falcons. So a few more guys to actually move besides Grady Jarrett in the pass rush. I think they're a little bit better in that, but I'm not fully certain. It's a new defensive coordinator. I'm not fully certain that they're effective yet as a defense, and I'm putting a little faith in Frank Reich, in Thomas Brown, the new offensive coordinator in Carolina, and I'm really excited for the Panthers defense. I actually think the Panthers defense is going to be good.
I agree. They have some talent.
So the big question mark, again, as it always is for a lot of these teams, that are sort of trying something, is what the heck is Bryce Young going to look like?
He looked pretty bad in preseason.
Yeah, and so,
he didn't look bad, but he looked like he does not
a little lost.
belong.
Yeah.
I mean, just from size, it has nothing to do. He seems very smart. Seems very nice. But I don't like any. I mean, this is where I'm old school.
No,
I
I
just
agree.
don't like that
I'm
look.
usually like that as well, in the sense of size. And also, Ben Solak at the Ringer had a piece on him. It was a little while ago, but he basically was like, "Listen, it's not just height; it's height and weight. There are very few, if any, in 75 years of football scholarship, football statistics, where a guy this height and weight has been like a consistently successful quarterback. He is a very prominent size outlier.
Like if he's 5'10", Russell Wilson's 5'11", but Russell Wilson
is muscular, is
so much thicker than him.
And so that's the bet. And I think if the leadership, if the if there, I know leadership is intangible, but I'm saying if the brain is there, if he has enough time to process, can he be effective? And I'm hoping to see that. But we'll see. I'm just not sold enough on the Falcons defense yet to like be like, oh, like they're gonna kill him week one.
Right.
But I don't necessarily think they're gonna win. I'm just saying 3.5. I think they cover.
All right, and then I'm going with the homer pick here, baby.
I always find myself. I just a meta analysis here. It's so funny that I'm like, I always think to myself, I'm like, I do my bets and then I'm like, I always talk myself out of them.
Yeah. I know you do. Yeah, you
I'm like, I did this and like honestly, the Falcons are pretty good and like.
But you won last year, so you don't have the.
It's my jinx. It's my reverse jinx.
Oh god, I should have caught on to that. The Giants plus 3.5 at home. I think the Giants have a very good shot to win this game. I don't understand. That is way too large of a line for two teams that were both in the playoffs last year and both lost in the divisional round. I understand that the Dallas Cowboys have a better team. They do have more pieces. They have a better defense in terms of the personnel. I would put Wink Martindale's coaching up there with Dan Quinn any day. And I would put up the offensive side of the ball on the Giants in terms of coaching completely elevated. Like
Absolutely.
Kafka and Dayball are pretty amazing, and it's word's getting out. Like Kafka's gone after this year, I would imagine.
As we were discussing with a few other coaching candidates, like Callahan with the Bengals and Arumo with the Bengals. I was shocked Kafka didn't get a job.
Well, I
was like, wait, like he's a guy who's like taking this talent and like, making it so much better.
And the league is just, they want those young offensive guys.
Right,
too.
exactly.
But
totally.
I think it's same thing with Ben Johnson. They're like, prove it one more year.
Right.
And maybe their agent is saying, don't go to the Cardinals.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like, do you want to stay with like Brian Dable, who's like great, and like you guys have a good rapport, like go and like work for Michael Bidwell. We're gonna have to like smoke a cigar with Brett Kavanaugh and be like,
yeah. I don't want to do that. So basically,
is this my burner phone? Sorry, I don't know which one it is.
This is a fact that the Giants are at home. They're better coached, in my humble opinion, and they have this new X factor in Darren Waller, who is a matchup nightmare. Now, Micah Parsons actually matches up incredibly well with him. He matches up with basically anybody who plays the tight end position, and he can also rush the passer. But the Giants are creative enough, I think, to get some open looks to Darren Waller, and the new pieces that they have at wide receiver, they can get them into space. Wan'Dale Robinson is working his way back into the lineup after tearing his ACL. Paris Campbell has always been an underrated player who's been marred by injuries. I mean, he was really good at Ohio State, and I'm excited for him in the prove-it year as well. And the line is going to improve. I mean, Andrew Thomas is a top 5 left tackle in the NFL that no one talks about. And
also the hope, I think, is Evan Neal takes another step.
And Evan Neal should take another step. I mean, I'm not that worried about Evan Neal. His tape at Alabama proved it all.
And also just like size-wise, it's like you're already in good shape to be the size that you're at, and even if there's some learning curve, there's a learning curve when you're a young tackle. Like
the Giants are sick of the Cowboys beating them. They are. I'm sure they're not making a big deal about it in the press, but behind the scenes, Dayball is like,
and they would like
guys have.
It would be awesome.
I can't even remember the last time the Giants have beat the Cowboys. But I do think that it's going to come down to the wire. So plus 3.5. And Daniel Jones looked fucking amazing in preseason. He looks like he is the most confident dude ever. And like he finally has a situation that works for him. People are going to realize this guy actually has a lot of intangibles, including size. People know his intangibles. He's really smart. But he has size and athleticism that really does translate. And right now, I think he's the better quarterback versus Dak Prescott. So I know that's controversial, but hey, one player led the league in interceptions last year, and it wasn't Daniel Jones.
Oh, shit.
Was it? Dak Prescott did lead the league in interceptions.
Let me see.
Well, he at least threw a ton. Interceptions. Yeah, I mean. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it was 15. That's a lot.
Yeah.
If it's not league leader, that's close.
All right, this is great podcasting. Okay, it was Josh. in the last 2 years. Okay, it was Dak Prescott. God damn it. Yes.
Okay, we're good.
All right.
Point made. Checkmate, Cowboys fans.
All right. God damn it. Okay. So anyway, plus 3.5 Giants.
Great. I love it. I absolutely love it. So for my last one, I have the Green Bay Packers at +1 against the Bears because I am like, what the hell are people looking at? Why are the Packers underdogs?
I agree.
The Bears defense is still like mostly 3 guys in a trench coat and Tremaine Edmonds, and I don't trust them yet. I'm fine being like, oh, like for me, especially like football freak me, I'm like, I like Tyreek Stevenson in the draft. I like Javon Dexter in the draft, but like they're like lengthy raw projects that were drafted in like the second and third round, and Eddie Jackson is probably still going to be playing a lot of minutes for these guys at corner. Like I also like some of the younger guys too. Like I like Brisker, I like Kyler Gordon, I like Jalen Johnson. Like I like a lot of these guys in the Bears defense, but like they're all really young and they were literally the worst defense by a mile last year. So I'm just like it's not enough for me to be like the Packers are going to be underdogs to this team. I'm also not bullish enough on this offensive line yet because like, okay, I don't know if you've been following this at all, obviously, because it's just like Chicago Bears offensive line politics. Like I would, I'd forgive you for not being.
Well, they're
following
not
it.
starting their rookie. Is that
well?
true?
So Darnell Wright is not fully healthy.
Yeah,
the guy they drafted in the first round, who I really like, but he's not fully healthy. Nate Davis, who they signed in the offseason from the Titans, has like basically not played all preseason and has been very cryptic and like kind of like pissed off when asked about
Fields
it.
barely played too.
Davis was like asked the staff why I'm not playing, and it's like that's never a great sign for the guy you signed to a contract to come to your team and he was like, leave me alone. Like, so like the guys at the ideal 5, like the ideal guys playing on the offensive line are probably not playing. Tevin Jenkins is also still not fully healthy. I'm also not fully sold on Justin Fields yet, and I don't really feel like we have a reason to be fully sold on Justin Fields yet.
People just like him because he's a fantasy upside.
I, of course, think DJ Moore ties up a little bit in terms of the pass catchers, and hopefully Cole Kmet takes a step. Hopefully everything kind of evens out a little bit more with Moore as a clear number 1, but none of this is enough for me to think, oh, the Packers are for sure losing because Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson are questionable and Jordan Love hasn't really started. I think the Packers are just a fundamentally better team than the
100%.
Bears by a decent amount, especially when you compare defenses. So I'm definitely taking not only the Packers to cover, I'm taking the Packers to win.
Well, I mean, the only other option is tie.
Yeah, I'm not taking them to tie. No way.
Yeah.
No ties.
Yeah, there we go.
There's no ties.
And there's no ties in Survivor either.
Definitely not.
If you guys play Survivor, this is what we're doing a little bit. I think I mentioned this at the start of the show, right? You could be in a Survivor pool where you pick one team to win per week. You're out if that team loses, but you can only pick that team once, which is why I'm going with the Washington Commanders to beat the Arizona Cardinals with Jonathan Gannon. That's my Survivor pick, baby. Bradley, what's yours?
I am taking the Baltimore Ravens over the Houston Texans, even though I'm bullish. I like the Texans. Oh,
I mean, the Ravens are beating them. It's just the question of like, I wanted to save the Ravens for later in the year. I probably shouldn't be high on the Texans because like they're a first year quarterback, but like I like them, but I'm high on the Ravens, and I think the Ravens are going to stomp them. Honestly, Ravens could win the Super Bowl. Ravens could 100% win the Super Bowl.
The Texans have like some okay pieces on defense, but like they're really mostly anonymous. And most of the excitement I have for them is on the offensive side because I think Stroud is really good, and I think their offensive line is underrated because Laramie Tunsil is like one of the better left tackles in the league.
Nico Collins kind of underrated.
Nico Collins is pretty good. Like Robert Woods, Dalton Schultz, like they fitted it out to be like a general.
They're a professional
NFL
football
offense,
team.
Yes.
They will be one of the 5 worst teams in the league
totally.
this year. Yeah.
But I think, like you said, literally a credit to them is that they're a professional football team this year. But I think the Ravens are like ready to go, and I'm excited. I think though I don't see them losing this game.
Oh my God, they're pulling out all the tricks. Like, I mean, when I see Odell Beckham Jr. in that Ravens uniform, I am going to be full on Ravens stan for the year. Even though I picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, I can't help it. Can't help it. I love those damn Ravens. They are my AFC mistress. I say it every time. They are fun. And anyway, that's it. That's it. Wow,
I'm hoarse. I'm so excited.
It's gonna be great.
Love overreacting to stuff and to make it. And I'm at like the peak of my take dishing powers right before week 1.
Oh no, I gotta get a few more weeks in to see things that actually piss me off. Then I'll be out of control. We're gonna set fire to
I'm trying to
things.
think of what I feel like. Actually, that's a good point. I feel like the Zach Wilson discourse did sort of break your brain a little bit.
That is a good point.
And I
don't,
think
bring,
that-
don't bring people back to that.
And I think the Chargers generally broke my brain.
Yeah.
I think that was driving me nuts.
That drove me nuts
Every
last
week.
year. God, what else bothered me? Russell Wilson was such a
I think
fun
all the Bronco,
storyline.
all the Bronco stuff was like that drove us insane in a good way though.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
really reveling in it.
I feel like
I sort of was like,
could've
how do we not have a
cried
Broncos
laughing.
segment every week?
Yes.
Did you see the comments, but before we go? Did you see the things that reportedly Sean Payton was like, "You're not running for office, Russ. Like, stop like
I did
kissing."
not see
he
that.
literally was like, "You're not running for office. Like, stop like kissing babies and giving statements." He was like, "Focus on football."
That's amazing.
And apparently also-
that's why Sean Payton is kind of the man.
Oh, and apparently also he said at a practice to follow up on that, he literally said, "If you commit a false start, you're not playing the rest of the day," because literally every freaking game, like. Take your pick of their alignment. They were committing false starts. Garrett Bradbury, Dalton Risner. They were all just like no one could actually play
Yes.
like sound football.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah. So if you want to play, don't false start.
Remember how many delay of games there were because Russell Wilson refused to wear a wristband and he was like hearing the plays in his headset and would like not get it right, and then there would be all those delays of games. That was fun because he was thought it didn't look cool.
They were like, wait, why are you saying Seahawks calls? What?
Amazing. I mean, we didn't even mention the Broncos at all, but I guess they are such a, we'll have to wait and see situation, and I don't see them going. And
Someone also noticed that was said in the YouTube chat that we didn't mention the Raiders. Similar thing. Like, I don't know, like for the Broncos and the Raiders, there are certain other teams with this. Well, I'm literally like, what are you? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't get it. Like,
well,
I'm
the
not-
Raiders are bad. I think they're going to be bad.
Right, but it's not just bad, but it's also like team makeup. Like, I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not understanding what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Broncos. Like, Peyton gives me some sort of solace, but I'm sort of like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah. Right,
what are you?
exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you on Monday, actually. Boom.
Wow,
I'm traveling
before the first Jets game.
I won't be in tomorrow because for majority report because I'm going to a wedding. And I'm missing because I'm traveling back the 1 o'clock time slot, which is a little bit of a pain in the
brutal.
ass. I know,
I'll
but
keep you posted.
But I'm getting home at like 3:30ish, so I'll get to
you'll get some,
see,
yeah.
and then thankfully we have a Thursday night amazing game, which sucks, but I will catch the condensed games, which is what I do when I miss them. All right, guys, appreciate you all.
Happy hunting! Football is back.
Oh yeah, baby.
Bye bye.